What is up, people of the internet? It's your favorite theory crafter, Skizzors here, bringing you another episode of Nexus by the Numbers, presented by StormLegacy.com. Today we're going to be going over the brand new hero added to the Nexus, Malthael. Malthael is a very interesting take on a playmaking assassin. He is melee, and we're going to be going over all the things you need to know to play him effectively and efficiently. So we're going to kick things off by going over his basic abilities. First, we're going to be going over Malthael's trait, Reaper's Mark, which is the bread and butter of his entire kit. Basic attacks afflict non-structured targets with Reaper's Mark for 4 seconds. Marked enemies are revealed and take damage equal to 2.5% of their maximum health every 1 second. So you can think of this kind of like Giant Killer in a way, but it's more like Lunara's Poison, except the visual effect is more of how Gul'dan's Poison works, where the poison bar might not cover your entire health bar, but you can still die to it. It's the same visual representation on your health bar that you get from Malthael, but it works more like Lunara's Poison. So to show off Reaper's Mark, we're just going to auto attack the training dummy. As you can see, the Reaper's Mark target is applied. You can tell by the gigantic blue marking on him. And every second they will take 2.5% of their maximum health, and it is reapplied every time your auto attack happens again. First, you're going to be going over his Q, Soul Rip, mana cost 20, cooldown 2 seconds. Extract the souls of nearby enemies afflicted by Reaper's Mark, dealing X damage and healing Malthael for X per target hit. Heroic targets heal Malthael for an additional 3% of the hero's maximum health. So why the Q and the W are both blacked out is you can only use these when there's a target affected by the Reaper's Mark debuff. So if I go over and attack the training dummy, you have both of these active now, and I can use either of those abilities. And then if we just sit off to the side a little bit, once the debuff wears off, I can no longer use these two abilities. So Soul Rip's pretty self-explanatory. It's just this kind of ring that happens around, and you can see how big the AoE is. And you can use it every 2 seconds, and it'll heal you and do a small amount of damage. Next is Malthael's W, Wraith Strike. Mana cost is 30, cooldown 5 seconds. Instantly teleport through an enemy afflicted by Reaper's Mark, dealing X damage and refreshing Reaper's Mark. So what's cool about Wraith Strike is you teleport behind the target. So if I'm on this side and I use this, I pop up behind the target, which allows you to get a body block in, or sets you up very easily to be able to body block a target. But it's pretty simplistic. It's targeted ability. You just click on the hero. I'm going to toggle cooldown so I can do it a few times, and you just teleport behind them wherever you're at. Get this cool wispy trail effect, and the effects artist definitely did an amazing job on Malthael, for sure. Next, we have Malthael's E, Death Shroud. Mana cost is 50, cooldown 8 seconds. After 0.25 seconds, unleash a wave of dark mist that applies Reaper's Mark to enemies it hits. And it's pretty self-explanatory, as mentioned. It's just a line, you shoot it, wave goes out, hits somebody, they get Reaper's Mark applied to them. So as you can see, there's a recurring theme between all of his abilities, and that is applying Reaper's Mark and then continuing to keep it applied. The cooldowns of his abilities are pretty low, but they do require you to keep Reaper's Mark up, so you need to always be making sure you're reapplying it either through auto attacks or the use of Death Shroud. So an initiation an initiation might look like you drop your E, you teleport in, and then you start popping your Q, and you stick on the target as much as you can. So now we're going to be going over Malthael's talents, and Blizzard did a really great job in allowing just about every talent to be useful, in the sense of there's an argument for every single pick. I'm going to be showing you guys what I have found to be the most successful out of all the talents. I've tried to mix and match a bunch of them over the last week, and these are my favorite picks and my favorite combination of why I go them. So my first talent pick is Fear the Reaper, which is an active ability and has a cooldown of 25 seconds. Activate to increase movement speed by 25% and pass through other units for 4 seconds. This ability is the most flexible at level 1. It gives you good engage and disengage, allows you to chase properly, and basically just enables you to have more options in and out of fights than the other two talents. So the other two level 1 talents, Death's Reach, increase Wraith Strike's range by 35%, and On a Pale Horse, gain an additional 20% movement speed while mounted. Both are good in their own right and own situation. But Fear the Reaper definitely adds the most power to your kit, where the other ones add power situationally. So that's why I picked Fear the Reaper at level 1. So level 4 is interesting in the sense of I really only feel like there's one talent that gives you value off of the playstyle of Malthael, at least the playstyle I tend to do with him, and that's Black Harvest. It's a quest talent, and the quest is apply Reaper's Mark to heroes for a total of 150 seconds. The reward is permanently increase Reaper's Mark duration by 2 seconds. This is good for a few reasons. One, it allows you to have better poke, and also it combos really well into your level 16 talent that we'll be picking later. With the other two level 4 talents, Die Alone and Throwing Shade, I believe they're both good in their own right, and you can make an argument for both of them. But Black Harvest to me has been the most impactful level 4 talent that you can get. Level 7 provides you with 3 options for talents that allow you to pick based on where the game is going. So your default is going to be Cold Hand, which is Soul Rip slows enemies by 20% for 2.5 seconds. Now this is basically an infinite slow as long as you keep Reaper's Mark up, because the cooldown of Soul Rip is only 2 seconds. So since you have a 2.5 second slow, you can have an infinite 20% slow on everyone that has been affected by Reaper's Mark. And that makes Cold Hand your default go-to, but here's the stipulations for the other ones. So in my opinion, if they have 2 really tanky heroes or 3 semi-tanky heroes, that doesn't necessarily mean bruisers. That could be like an Asmodan or somebody that with just like a high health pool. Mortality is really good because you gain value off of Wraith Strike, dealing bonus damage equal to 4% of a hero's maximum health pool. You're really only going to gain a lot of value off of this if there are multiple tanky heroes. So 2 tanky heroes is always okay. I try to shoot for 3, and that could even be like a higher health pool assassin for instance, with mortality being the pickup there. Touch of Death is the last one out of the level 7 talents. It is an active ability, cooldown 30 seconds. Activate to reduce healing received by heroes afflicted by Reaper's Mark by 50% for 4 seconds. Now, technically speaking, this is the most versatile one, where you're always going to provide massive value to your team if your team is all going to engage at the same time, and you can hit everyone with Reaper's Mark. You pop Touch of Death, the heals are just going to plummet for the enemy team, and you should be able to clean up very easily. However, as you guys know, with most of my guides, I build specifically for solo, duo, and trio queues. 5 stack, some of these builds are fine for that, but you can kind of vary your build a little more when you're with an entire group of people. When you're having to trust random people, sometimes plays don't happen the way they should, or the stun stacks don't occur, the way they should. I only pick up Touch of Death versus Ariel and Morales, both of them negating you specifically as a hero. Ariel's burst heals are very strong against Reaper's Mark in general, and Morales' constant healing basically negates Reaper's Mark. All the other heroes, you can kind of get away with not picking up Touch of Death and grab Cold Hand or Morality. But Touch of Death, I would say, is probably the best one out of this pool, but I don't necessarily think you should go it all the time. There's definitely a situation, a time and place for when Touch of Death is needed. So level 10, you have 2 ultimate choices, both very, very strong in certain situations. I'm going to explain why. Now, most people have been kind of leaning towards Tormented Souls as their main ultimate choice, and I would have to agree with that, but there is a stipulation in which Last Rites is much, much better. So Tormented Souls is the first ulti choice. Mana cost is 100, cooldown 80 seconds, gain 20 armor, and unleash a torrent of souls, continually applying Reaper's Mark to nearby enemies for 4 seconds. This tends to be the go-to just simply because you can constantly apply Reaper's Mark, which is your bread and butter of your kit, and you have it up for a lot of seconds, which can combo into a level 16 talent that you typically will grab. Now, Last Rites is really interesting because it does have a very niche situation where it is very, very strong and much better than Tormented Souls. So Last Rites mana cost is 100, cooldown is 75 seconds. Apply a death sentence to an enemy hero that after 2 seconds deals damage equal to 50% of their health missing. It's a repeatable quest ultimate, which is the first one of its kind, and enemies killed while under the effect of Last Rites permanently reduce its cooldown by 5 seconds to a minimum of 15 seconds. So, if you can get a hero to 33% or less health, they will die. That's basically the way Last Rites work. So if you can get them down to 33% or less health, They will instantly die, you have secured a kill. Now, although Last Rites might sound really good, Tormented Souls gives you a lot more teamfight potential, which is why people tend to pick it more often. And I'm going to be showing you Tormented Souls right now. It's an AoE, as you can see. I'll pop it, your wings get all big, it's a great animation, and the Chaos Mr. Training Dummy here will be taking constant Reaper's Mark pressure. Now I'm going to be showing you the effects of Last Rite, what it looks like. It's got a pretty small cast range, and it looks amazing. So here I'm going to be showing what it looks like to Last Rite somebody. They'll have a skull over their head as such. You apply, and if you're going to kill them, the Reaper swings and you get a kill that way. So then you might be asking, well, what's the stipulation you talked about with Last Rites being better? Well, Tormented Souls, like I said, is your go-to pick, but Tormented Souls only gets value if you can stick to targets, and specifically if you can only stick to multiple targets. So in the case where their entire enemy team is very mobile, maybe they have Genji, they might have a Li Ming as well, maybe a Diva, just heroes that you're going to have a hard time sticking onto. And maybe in that game that you really feel like you're only going to be able to stick on one, maybe two targets, then Last Rites is always going to be a better pick because you're going to get a lot more value, where Tormented Souls, in my opinion, you really only get value from 3+ heroes being affected by it, and that can be pretty easy to do in most games, which is why Tormented Souls is kind of like your 8 out of 10 pick. Usually I rate whatever the picks are, 9 out of 10 pick is this, and the one time you don't pick is this other thing. I kind of consider Tormented Souls an 8 out of 10 pick, where you're basically going to be going this unless the other team is very mobile. If the other team is very mobile, or if they have ways to push you away, maybe they have an Ariel that always stun locks you off to the side. So your Tormented Souls, you apply it the first time, but you're really not getting value off of Tormented Souls where your E could have just done the same thing. Then Last Rites is always going to be a better pickup in those situations. Last Rites is also very good against Cho'Gall, which on the right hand side here, I'm going to be showing you a clip of myself and a Brightwing going to stop a Cho'Gall from pushing in their payload and securing a kill with Last Rites. So remember to keep in mind that both ulti choices are viable and they both are good. There's just situations where one's better than the other. So level 13 is a very flex talent pick as well. The only one I personally don't like is Soul Siphon, which is increased soul rips, bonus healing for heroes to 4%. So basically you go from 3 to 4%, you get an extra percent healing done off of a hero's maximum health pool. And there's an argument to pick it, and I'm not going to say any of those people are wrong. I'm not going to say I'm right in saying I don't find it to be good, but I just don't have a lot of success with picking up this talent, where I feel like the other three are much better options. So Ethereal Existence and Shroud of Wisdom are situational depending on what team you're against. If you're against mainly physical damage dealers, you pick up Ethereal Existence, which gives you physical armor, or you pick up Shroud of Wisdom if you're going against a heavy spell damage lineup. Ethereal Existence is gain 15 physical armor per hero afflicted by Reaper's Mark, up to 45 max. So you just basically need to apply Reaper's Mark to 3 heroes and you have a maximum gain of physical armor. Shroud of Wisdom, however, is an active and has a cooldown of 30 seconds, and after 2 seconds gain 50 spell armor for 4 seconds. So there's a slight delay, kind of like how Last Rites work. You want to kind of preemptively assess the situation and realize, hey, I'm going to need this spell armor in a few seconds, so I'm going to pop it now, and that's how Shroud of Wisdom works. Now the talent, I would be surprised if it isn't the lowest picked talent with the making of this video, is Inevitable End. Now I think this is one of the best combination talents for Malthael, period. It is so strong, and I didn't realize it until I noticed how it actually combos very well. So Inevitable End is an activatable ability, has a cooldown of 30 seconds, and activate to become unstoppable for 2 seconds, but remove all active Reaper's Marks, which sounds horrible, right? Your whole bread and butter is Reaper's Mark, and you lose it if you pop Inevitable End. But if you combined it with Tormented Souls, you remove the negative part of this. So then it just becomes activate to become unstoppable for 2 seconds. So you guys are going to have to follow me with this. I'm going to pick Inevitable End to show it. And your basic combination is going to be E, W, ulti, Q, right? That's your basic combination for your engage using Tormented Souls. Now imagine they have a very stun heavy lineup, or they have a lot of slows. Then having a self cleanse, especially one that's 2 seconds long, becomes pretty solid. So in combination with Tormented Souls, remember, continually applies Reaper's Mark for 4 seconds. So it is just sending out Reaper's Marks like crazy, alright? Inevitable N removes all active Reaper's Mark. So if you jump in and you pop Inevitable End while Tormented Souls is running, then Reaper's Mark will instantly reapply again, basically removing the second half of the sentence. But removes all active Reaper's Marks. It's not removing anything. It's just going to keep applying. So I'll show you how this combo works real quick with Chaos here. So you're going to pop it, jump in, apply your Unstoppable, and you're still having constant Reaper's Mark being applied. So you're getting a 2-second cleanse for free, essentially, every 30 seconds, which is very, very strong. And it also helps in a lot of other situations for stun-heavy comps, but that's the main combination piece. So I'm toggling up minions here just to show you against Arthas bot how this works. So you would jump in as regular, apply, pop your Unstoppable, and Arthas is still just going to be taking this damage constantly. And Reaper's Mark will continually apply. So your level 13 talent is very flex depending on the situation. Inevitable End, to me, is actually the best one to go, because having a self-cleanse when you want to be cleansed is very, very strong. And I just don't see a reason why you wouldn't want that on most heroes if you can get it. But obviously Inevitable End isn't great if you don't have Tormented Souls, because now you're just removing marks for more or less an escape if you have picked up Last Rites. But I think it really does have its place, and I don't think it should be discarded the way most people do discard this talent, because I think it is so strong. It just depends on when you're using it. Now obviously if they don't have a lot of stuns and they don't have a lot of slows, there's no real reason to pick it up, but in the case of them having stuns and slows, this is a great pickup at 13, and honestly makes Malthael very scary. So at level 16 there's really only one talent I feel is great, and that's Memento Mori. That is, Reaper's Mark deals 100% increased damage after afflicting enemy heroes for more than 4 seconds. So one that combos into your trait, Black Harvest, which increases your Reaper's Mark to 6 seconds, so you're already going to get 2 ticks of 100% increased damage. But if you have Tormented Souls, this is going to be constantly reapplying for 4 seconds, which means you can have a total of 10 seconds uptime on one charge of Reaper's Mark if you sat on a hero the entire time this is applied and didn't auto attack them. So you're going to get the most value out of this. Soul Collector, you can make an argument for, I guess. I just find that having the increased range and the cooldown hasn't really helped me in a lot of situations. I mean, it's nice, but it hasn't helped me as much as Memento Mori. And Massacre is pretty lackluster overall, especially because if you can land your E's, you're basically doing what Massacre can do anyway. So with that, Memento Mori is my level 16 pick. So the talents at level 20, you have a few options. The only one I don't find super useful is Final Curtain. You can make a argument to pick this, and I think it's fine. Enclosed area space, drop your E, nobody can walk through it without getting Reaper's Mark applied. It's a valid argument. I just find it to be a little lackluster overall, so that's why I don't think it's great. Both ultimate upgrades I think are good choices. Reaper of Souls is while Tormented Souls is active, hero takedowns extend its duration by 4 seconds. Basically you can just keep Tormented Souls running indefinitely until the end of a team fight. I tend to not pick this one up as much just because I use Tormented Souls as an initiation tool, and I'm usually at the forefront of fights rather than coming in late, so I don't gain as much value from Reaper of Souls as I would a different talent. If you did pick up Last Rites, Angel of Death is very, very strong, and Angel of Death is Last Rites heals for 100% of the damage dealt, and its current and future cooldown reduction bonuses are doubled. This is very, very strong. This is super good, and I'm going to be playing a clip off to the right here showing how incredibly strong Last Rites can be in forming very clutch situations in 1v2s. This is me playing Malthael versus a Tracer and a Li Ming, and I auto attack a Tracer once and pop Last Rites on her, and she loses enough health that I secure the kill, and I get a much needed heal in order to finish off Li Ming and walk away. So Angel of Death can be very, very helpful, but the one level 20 talent I tend to pick the most is No One Can Stop Death. Now its cooldown is 180 seconds, it's inactive, and you can activate it while dead to immediately respawn at the altar, but increases Malthael's next respawn time by 25%. So, the first thing I do is just to make sure I never accidentally hit this for some reason, I drag and drop it over to 6, so I don't ever have to worry about it, it's out of the way for my keyboard. Now the thing with No One Can Stop Death is that it provides a utility I wasn't aware of initially when I was first playing Malthael. And that is that, say it has 20 seconds left on its cooldown and you die, and you have already used it once, right? So your death timer around level 20 to 22 is, I think it's 75 to 80 seconds, it's around that. I believe it's just about 80 seconds, which is a long time. You don't want to wait 80 seconds to respawn. But say No One Can Stop Death is on 20 seconds, right? That means when your death timer goes to 60 seconds, you can pop this again and respawn. So as long as you can get No One Can Stop Death, technically speaking, as long as you can get to 70 seconds cooldown left, you're going to respawn faster than you would otherwise. Now, where I find the most value is trying to survive to at least 30 seconds. That cuts your death timer in half, just about, a little over half. And then anything under that, you just instantly hit that button to respawn, because you're not gonna want to wait 80 seconds to respawn. There's no reason for you to. So you might as well pop it early, get the cooldown started, so it's back up for when your whole team's up. And it just provides you this really great utility where you can dive an enemy team, die, respawn, and either come back to the fight or be able to push out a different lane, maybe take merc camps if your team is winning that fight and they don't need you to go back to the fight. It just provides you so much utility. So those are the talents from Malthael, and to the right here I'm going to be playing a few more clips. So I'm going to demonstrate some basic laning over here on the right side with a video against me versus a Johanna. And as you can see in the clip, I'm basically keeping Reaper's Mark applied constantly, or as much as I possibly can, while also being able to wave clear and heal off the minion wave using my Q to give me a lot better sustain versus the Joe in lane. Now in this clip, this is later on towards the end of the laning phase, you can see a Nova popping up, but I'm still applying the pressure to Joe, knowing that I have enough sustain to tank Nova and also be able to kill Joe and get out of there. So in this next clip, you're going to be seeing to the right, I am 1v1 versus an Asmodan, and he is going to be lasering me, and I need enough sustain to be able to keep myself alive in order to apply pressure to him. So when he summons his minions, I position myself to make sure my E hits the minions there. Therefore, I'm getting extra self-sustain with Asmo and both the minions, allowing me to be able to tank enough of the laser to at least push him off of the point. First, I'm going to be showing off a few situations where, because of self-sustain, I was able to commit to a Sylvanas to pick up a kill, and the self-sustain allowed me to really dive in, knowing I was going to be okay to get out. Another clip is a D.Va on my team had dropped her nuke, and a Stitches was starting to walk towards that direction. So I waited till the right time to pop Wraith Strike, and I was able to body block Stitches in the location where he was going to take the most damage. I'm not sure what Sylv was doing. She could have been a bot. I have no idea. But the Stitches kill is the part to focus on for that. In this clip, I'm chasing after a D.Va, and once we blow up her mech, I know she's a guaranteed kill at that point because she can't hop back into her mech. So I end up chasing her and securing the kill, and then a Medivh pops up a little bit later here, and I'm able to chase him down and also secure that kill as well, knowing that I have room to apply pressure and I'm not going to be punished for these plays. And the Abathur hat really did help too. It's not just all me, Abathur was definitely helping, but these are situations that you can see can benefit you as a Malthael player. And this one I'm going to have to put in slow motion because it's not completely obvious at first, but I use D.Va as an escape after being hooked. So initially I hit D.Va and was applying pressure onto her and had a Reaper's Mark on her, and Stitches hooked me and pulled me in. So instead of trying to fight Stitches under tower and being in this bad situation, I realized D.Va is still in a spot that can get me out. So I race striked over to her using my W and popped up completely safe on the other side and was okay to get out of there. So I had a very unique opportunity where I was 1v1 or 1v2 technically against the Cho'Gall in the laning phase of a Hanamura game. And I really wanted to go over this specifically because with Cho'Gall, Malthael on paper is supposed to beat him, but in practice, if you don't dodge anything from Cho'Gall, you're still going to get blown up. So what I wanted to show here is, as you can see, I'm trying my best to dodge Cho'Gall's abilities, first of all. And second, I'm always making sure I apply Reaper's Mark to the entire wave using my E. So while I'm attacking Cho'Gall, I'm getting bigger heals in order for myself to sustain better in lane. This allowed me to at least break even, and in some instances I ended up winning the lane. So here's just one more clip of me getting a few more kills towards the end of the Hanamura match, in which I'm able to chase Asmo pretty efficiently, stack damage up, get some kills, do some body blocking, and just constantly be applying the pressure that Malthael needs to be applying in order to help his team secure kills. And that does it for this in-depth look into Malthael. I hope it was very helpful for you guys. Hope you learned a lot with the hero and have a lot of success with them in games. Like always, guys, please be sure to comment on any future heroes you might like to see and feedback on the guide. Thanks so much for watching. Shout out to Storm Legacy as usual. Those guys are great over there. Be sure to check them out on all of their social pages. And that's gonna do it for me, guys. So once again, this has been a guide from Malthael. I hope you all enjoyed it. This has been Skizzors, and we'll see you next time.